To make introductions quick, I'll just call on everyone. What we'll do is have just give us your name. What do I want to say? If you're a board member, please note that. If you're an officer of the board, also note that. And what is your favorite tree in Beaverton? How about that? Sound good? And now I've put myself on the spot to start this. Okay, I'm John Duggar. I'm actually vice chair, sitting in for new father Thom, who we will introduce next. Let's see, obviously on the board, vice chair, and my favorite tree in Beaverton. There's a bunch of ginkgos in Shiflett Park, and I just love walking by there every day, especially this time of year. They'll start in this beautiful orange. Thom, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Thom Drane. I am the usual chair of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee. And I would say that if I had to narrow it down to one tree, I'm going to narrow it down to 6. And those are the 6 oak trees that are we happen to get to take care of at our house. So we're very blessed to be in the middle of a significant oak grove. And I love the shade that they provide and just kind of the ominous presence of nature around. So I love them. I'm happy to have them. So
I'm just going to go down the aisle that I see. You may be different. So Franziska, why don't you go next?
Yeah, great. Thank you. My name is Franziska Rose. I'm the Public Involvement Coordinator with the City of Beaverton, and I am the staff liaison to this really lovely NAC. So happy to be here tonight. My favorite tree, I am going to be super unoriginal. The tree at the library, it's just the best. It's really amazing.
Kevin, you're up.
Hey, I'm Kevin. I am a board member of this NAC. I am a downtown resident and the executive director of the Beaverton Downtown Association. My favorite tree in Beaverton is the little tiny tree that's outside my apartment window because I look at a parking lot, and when I'm working, the little tip of it is all I see, swinging and waving in the distance. And
that works.
I get to see it grow each year.
Is it Jean?
Yeah, hi folks. I'm Jean Senechal Biggs. I am the Transportation Planning Manager at City of Beaverton. I joined the city back in May of 2019. This is my first time to visit with you all, so thanks for having us. You'll hear from me and Dan Turk a little later on the agenda about a project we've been developing. And thinking about the trees in Beaverton, I will say I really love that alley of trees that's alongside City Park, you know, between the parking lot and the park. I really like those trees.
The tall pines, you mean?
No, I think they're birch trees.
Oh, okay, the birch trees by the
right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool, thank you. Is it Lulu? How do you say your name? Did I get that right?
Yes, it's Lulu.
I love it.
All good, all good.
Welcome.
So I'm Lulu Ballesteros with THPRD, with the Communications Department. And Franziska took my tree. So I'm gonna pick another, it's an oak tree, the one that's in front of 99 Ranch.
Okay.
Oak tree, big.
I love it.
That's it.
Well, welcome. Nyssa?
Hi, how's it going? My name's Nyssa Rivera, and I'm a management analyst in the Public Works Department. And I'll be here tonight with Stacy Revay to talk to you about the fountain and where we're at with that. If I have to think of a favorite tree, it'd be any of the ones at the operations building. Because I work at ops, we have a nice yard there. Just like to walk around it, and any tree that we have offers nice shade. So definitely the ones at operations are my favorite.
Thank you. Welcome, Nyssa. Dan, you're up.
Hi, my name is Dan Turk. I work with the City of Beaverton. I'm a project manager for transportation projects. Jean is my boss, and like Jean said, we're happy to be here and talk to you guys about a project we're just getting into. And Favorite tree in Beaverton? Well, I'm very happy. I'm actually here in the office in City Hall, and I look out over, I don't even know what types of trees these are. I didn't take what is it? What is an dendrology, which is a study of trees like my brother did in college, but they're always waving and very friendly.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Amanda. We can't hear you.
Better?
Better. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh, you're a little muffled. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, good. My roommate can contend with our meeting tonight. So I'm Amanda. I am the secretary and board member of the Central Beaverton NAC and a resident and the community engagement manager for the Beaverton Civic Theater. My favorite trees, and I don't know if this is cheating, but I escaped to the nature park over here, the TV, like all the time. And I just kind of find a tree and like kind of soak in the nature and the quiet, and I'm a huge tree person, so I can't just pick one. They'd get jealous.
That's a pretty special spot.
It is. It's so magical to have that right here in the middle of the city.
For sure. Jonathan.
Hello, I'm Jonathan, a board member and the BCCI rep for the Central Beaverton NAC. Favorite tree? I don't know. So I'm just gonna say the Japanese maple we planted in our front yard a couple years ago because I'm excited to see it get huge and cover us up.
Love it. Maria. Maria, you're up. I don't know if you heard me.
I'm so sorry. I thought you said Arya, and I was like, hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. It's been so long. I'm Maria. I'm the support specialist for the community services program, and I'm here to give an update about safe parking program. I missed the first. I don't know what everybody's sharing, but
Favorite tree in Beaverton?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite tree in Beaverton?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. The ones at the community center, since I see those all the time. So
those were great trees. And Stacy, I believe it was.
Hi, I'm Stacy Revay. I work in public works and engineering on capital projects, and I'm working with Nyssa on a couple other projects right now. It's like, I would say my favorite tree in Beaverton is probably any oak tree. I mean, there is one in the back of McKay Elementary School. At least it used to be there. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was this big, beautiful tree. And then there was like a bench that was all the way around it. So like as a kid, we used to like sit back there like at lunchtime and that kind of stuff. And I really don't know if it's still back there. It's been quite a few years since I was in elementary school, but anyway.
Awesome,
thank you.
I thought I saw Officer Sutton. I don't know if he's still here.
Yeah, I think he must be having some tech problems. I'll keep looking for him.
Okay. And then Quinn, do you want to go?
Yeah. Hey all, I'm Quinn Simpson. I'm a board member, NAC. And my favorite tree, I have a bunch, but I think there's a massive walnut tree across the street from us. It's huge. And it is dropping walnuts like crazy right now, and you can hear them all night, which is kind of interesting. It sounds like these pops, and then the cars that are driving on Main are running over all of them right now, and it actually sounds, some of them sound like gunfire, which is kind of scary, but and some of them like shoot out from underneath the car's tires as we're walking by, so it's kind of dangerous, but it's a very it keeps things interesting here for sure.
We have a lot of really overweight squirrels because there are just walnuts everywhere. But you guys, thanks so much for indulging me on that. I like to pick one thing we love about our community and kind of mix it up every time. So let's jump to our agenda.
John, did you get the two attendees that we've got as well?
Did I get the two attendees?
I know we've got Lindsay Kraft and a call-in. And the call-in may be Officer Sutton. It would not surprise me.
So I'm going to allow them to talk. So just as a logistics. So throughout the meeting, for those attending this meeting, if you want to ask a question or make a comment, just use the raise hand feature, and I'll know to unmute your mic so that you can participate fully in the meeting. So I'm going to allow Lindsay, if she would like to introduce.
Hi, we've actually been trying to figure out if you can hear us or not this entire time.
Oh, yes.
That's good to know. Hi, I'm Lindsay Kraft. I'm with my boyfriend, Will Kilgore. We live on the Katy Lane stretch behind the community center, and just want to, I wrote out to Thom Drane earlier, I think last week, and just say hi and want to get involved. I've lived here for 3 years and just recently learned about this. I don't know how I did not know about you guys. So yeah, want to get involved, want to know more. There's a lot changing in our neighborhood, and would love to give my input.
And my favorite tree is the library tree as well.
Great.
And I'm actually I'm with Maria too. I love the community center's tree. I work out from my back and I see squirrels running around and crows and all sorts of birds, and a lot of activity back there.
Well, we're
Awesome.
so grateful, super grateful you guys are here.
Yeah, thanks. Excited.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let the person who is on the phone the chance to introduce themselves. So if you're on the phone, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Is that *6 for phone?
Yeah, let me.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Officer Sutton. My laptop it's trying to do a restart. It might not come back up. It's
No
still
worries.
spinning.
We're just glad to have you here.
No worries.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and
sorry.
rename you. And when we get to
you.
that portion of it, I'll well, actually, I can just I'll unmute you again. So.
Okay, thanks. It might just be easier for me to do this over the phone. My computer's not cooperating today.
Okay, sounds good. All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. I appreciate it.
Of course. All right, John.
Yeah, well, we're ready for your report, Officer Sutton, if you want to jump right in.
All right, I just unmuted him again, so let me go ahead. There we go.
You're up.
Officer Sutton, you'll probably need to unmute yourself *6 again.
There we go. Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
You're good.
Thank you.
We can hear you now.
All right, great to be back. Well, my first question was, do I have to have my favorite tree also?
You do. You do.
Okay.
And you have to do your formal introduction too. Tell everyone who you
thank
are.
you. My name is Officer Brad Sutton. I am a police officer for the city of Beaverton, and I am your Central Beaverton NAC officer. And my favorite tree, nothing super specific, is a flowering dogwood. How's that?
Any particular one?
You know, the pink ones are probably my favorite, believe it or not. They have a really nice bright pop to them in kind of early mid-spring. The white ones, I think, come in a little bit later in the year. I have a white one in my yard, and it blooms more towards the middle, end of May. I'm going off memory. But yeah, the pink ones first, then the white ones.
There's a really nice one on 5th and it's either Main or Angel.
Angel.
Angel, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for it. Nice. As far as police department news, the biggest news right now, without a doubt, is we are fully moved into the new building at 6125 Southwest Hall Boulevard, right across from the 7-Eleven. We take up the whole block between Hall and Main Street at the southwest corner. And that facility is operational. We are up and running, and we're kind of working out all the bugs with moving into a new building and making it functional, but so far so good. The Griffith building is still owned by the city of Beaverton. The Beaverton Municipal Court and some other offices are still there. And the last I heard that they're going to convert the police department first floor into a homeless shelter, but a day use homeless shelter where people can go and clean up and rest and I think get food, things like that. I don't have any specifics other than just what I told you, so I don't know when it's going to start or what that's really going to look like, but that's what I've heard. So if you folks see that down the road, that the police department is now a homeless shelter, that's what I've heard as well. A couple other things to note. that the city of Beaverton is participating in right now. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And of course, domestic violence is something we as a police department take very seriously, and so does the Washington County DA's office. If there's further information you want regarding domestic violence, or if you know somebody who's in that sort of a situation, there's many resources out there available to them. One of them is the Family Justice Center of Washington County. They work very closely with victims. It's at a counselor level. They work with police, but they're not police officers. And that's something that is available if you go to fjc.org, or if you just Google search Washington County Justice Center, or Family Justice Center, excuse me, you will find it. And then the Washington County District Attorney's Office, their webpage will have links to resources as well. One other thing the city of Beaverton is doing for the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Some officers, if you might see us out in person, will have our regular Beaverton Police badge, but instead of the standard kind of blue, silver, and gold colors, that's going to be changed to pink. So you might see that just for this month of October only. And that is kind of it with stuff going on with the department. Does anyone have any questions?
Officer Sutton, I have one. This is Kevin.
Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm really interested to hear how the homeless shelter, day use shelter at the police station goes. And I would also be really interested to hear if there are future conversations about how else that building can be a resource to the community, especially the Allen Boulevard community. I don't know that neighborhood well, but I think it would be a really cool opportunity to see how it can be more integrated there.
Yeah, great question. I'll have to look into it further. The only reason I threw it out is a lot of people, once they hear we've moved to a new station, the first thing they ask is, what about the old building? And that's what I've heard. And all I've heard was it's not an overnight shelter. At least that's not what the plan was. It was planned to be a day use type of a shelter where the showers and the locker rooms that we once used as officers would be available for people that live on the street to clean up and use the showers and use the facilities and have a place to relax during the daytime. So I can look further into that and see what I can get for you.
Thanks. Just curious.
Yeah, no problem.
Officer Sun, do you know when the exterior of the new police or public safety center is going to be complete, the landscaping and all that?
No, I specifically don't. I've been told that we should still be seeing the construction workers around the building for at least, I want to say at least 6 more weeks, roughly, maybe longer, as they do some of the final touches and finishing up and things like landscaping like that. So there's still going to be construction in the area, but the building is functional though. So good question. In short, I'm guessing about 6 weeks, maybe longer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Officer Sutton before we let him go?
Yeah, I've got one quick one, and I know you might not have press on this. Do you have any updates on the diversity, equity, and inclusion plan? I know that they were finishing with their public commentary and discussions, but I didn't know if you knew where that was sitting at the moment.
No.
Thom,
No,
are
sir,
you?
don't.
Sorry, I'm sorry to jump in, Officer Sutton. Are you referring to the work that council was doing with the consultant with Allen Wyoming Deloy?
I'm not sure if it was directly. I don't know if there was a consultant involved. I just know that there was the public listening to the community public safety discussion that had been going on. It was with council, but I didn't know. And of course with BPD. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of multiple things happening simultaneously. So the meetings that Police Chief Groshong is having with HRAC are still continuing through the end of the year. So that was a 6-month series of listening sessions to go over different facets of, police reform, transparency, different data, all different topics. So that will still be continuing on through the end of the year. And then in terms of the next steps for what's happening with the report that the consultant gave at the most recent city council meeting, I don't actually know yet. but I do know that next steps are coming. I'll put it into the chat here. What I've been told is that the www.beavertonoregon.gov/be-heard website is where all of the updates for what's happening with those conversations are being posted. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, I would just didn't know if there was anything from the BPD side that
sure
they had.
Officer Sutton,
No.
feel free to add anything else.
Thank you. Well, you actually have much more info than I do. That's something I just wouldn't know about. That's going to be probably at a lieutenant or above level.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
did jot that. This was called, you said the community diversity inclusion, something like that, correct?
The diversity, equity, and inclusion plan is an actual
Equity.
document. Yeah. So that's slightly separate from these conversations. That document is a foundational document for a lot of the work at the city of Beaverton, and is certainly guiding a lot of the recommendations that are being made. But it's its own entity, separate and distinct from that. The Diversity Advisory Board is the one responsible for that plan.
Okay. If I, not tonight, obviously, but during this week, I can mention it to somebody and see what they know about it. If that's
Sure. And I understand that if this is not the level of communication that the department was prepared to go through, I just was curious if you had any information. That's all, because I've unfortunately been missing a couple of the last council meeting viewings. So.
Yeah, completely fine. I appreciate the question. Yeah, unfortunately, not something I'm going to know much about. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
All right.
Officer, I just have a quick question for you. I was wondering if you have an update for us on the man in the central Beaverton area that we've brought up a few times in the previous months.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Howard Peter, does that sound correct?
Yeah.
Yes, he's been very quiet, at least as far as I've noticed. I haven't seen his name or seen a police call involving him in quite a while. He was very active during the summer. I don't know if a change in the weather has changed his behavior. Maybe he's on medication. I'm speculating. I really don't know, but I haven't heard his name actually in well over a month. So I don't know if something changed with his life, or he moved, or if he just decided to quit, I think, harassing the neighbors. So I'll take it though. If he's being quiet, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think a number of us know that he was assaulted. So he is now, I think he had an injury, and now he's wheeling around on a one of those little like pads to keep his leg propped up. So.
Oh yes, I did see him run one of those over the summer. You know, I don't know much about that particular incident. He has unfortunately found himself on the receiving end of some pushing and shoving, as you guys can imagine, with his behavior in the past. So I didn't know that he was ever injured in any of the cases I was aware of. So if he got injured by another citizen and that now he has that kind of a knee scooter, I don't know exactly how that happened is what I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, no, that's a good question, because he was a concern for your guys' neighborhood for quite a while, and I talked to numerous neighbors that all voiced the same concern. So, yeah, good question. As of late, he's been quiet. I haven't heard his name in quite a while.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you.
Any other questions for Officer Sutton? Awesome. Thank you, Officer.
All right, thank you, guys. Good talking to you. And like I said always in the past, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'll be more than willing to help you out.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a great night, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Perfect. So next up on the agenda is THPRD. Lulu, are you giving that update?
Yes.
Perfect.
So good news on THPRD side. Finally, we have news that it's not what you cannot do or you're not supposed to be going. It's more of openings. That's good. So we're happy to be able to welcome patrons back to several of our facilities. Maybe many of you have seen, we opened up Conestoga, the Athletic Center on Walker, the Tennis Center on Walker Road also. We have Cedar Hills Rec Center. We have weight and fitness rooms. For all these centers, reservations are required. So we're open, but it's not as it used to be. It's a little bit different, but open. So for more information, I would just suggest to go to the website or give us a call. We opened up the Aquatic Center on Walker in the pool at Conestoga on October 5th today, which was a big deal for everybody. Also, reservations are required. We will have during the month of October the free fitness in the park classes. It's everything from Zumba to Tai Chi, yoga in different parks throughout the district. But the schedules are also online, or people can call us and we can give them by phone. We also have our out of school program. So at Cedar Hills, we're opening up for kids in small pods of 10 kids per group, where we get to support students throughout the day, either for homework or their work that they're doing online, and then after school. Preschool is back. We have it at Cedar Hills, the Nature Center in Conestoga. Spaces are still available. Halloween, we're hosting a drive-through Halloween trick-or-treat event at HMT. It's going to be on October 24th, starting at 6 p.m. Other October events, we have driving bingo. We just had a welcome walk. We're gonna have another welcome walk, which is walks with immigrants and refugees to create a welcoming space in parks. There's tons of stuff going on, so keep an eye on the calendar online, available in English and in Spanish. Tons of volunteer opportunities since we're reopening many small events and activities outside. There's many opportunities there. We have a virtual health and wellness resource fair all the month of October. We're going to be posting information. It's all available on the website. Our vision action plan was adopted in September, finally. So it's what people want to see as visioning 30, 40 years from now in the district. Trail usage remains really high. We recommend that if people want to go for a walk, it's always best before 10 a.m. And we also recommend to go and discover new parks. We are requiring people to maintain 6 feet apart and to have a face covering. What else? Oh, Fano Creek Trail has closures because we are working with Clean Water Services on a stream enhancement and bridge replacement at Fano Creek Greenway, which is a big deal for a lot of us. It got a little bit delayed here and there because of the smoke, but it should be done by the end of October. We also have a repair in Conestoga, one of the slides. If you see that something's opening and closing there, it is still open. It's just the slide side we're repairing. And another important thing for patrons is the outdoor restrooms. And several up at HMT, Cedar Hills, Tualatin Hills Nature Center, Jenkins Estate, Cooper Mountain, and Mountain View Champions Park. Other than that, you can give us a call, go to the website, or send me an email.
Thank you, thank you. I have a couple questions. I'll start off and I'm sure others will. The welcome walk, can you repeat the date on that?
So the next one is this Sunday. It's with Venezuela's Voice in Oregon.
Okay.
Go to our website, you will find their email because it's through RSVP. We can only have up to 30 people.
Okay.
And we have 2 more coming up in the month, one in the month of October and another one in November.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking, and it's especially relevant to this group. The Central Neighborhood Association Committee here has sponsored and partnered with a group in Central Beaverton, and we're making masks. Cotton reusable masks, and one of the targets, we reached out to Karen, can't think of her last name, at THPRD. She and I are working together, and we are looking to distribute some masks at events that target immigrants and people that are underserved. So that's why I was asking that out. I just wondered, I hadn't heard from her on this particular one, so I just don't know if it's quite, what she was asking. The other question I had, do you guys manage or maintain the Waterhouse Trail?
That's a good question. I am not sure. I think we do, but I don't know to what degree. As it happens with many of the trails, they collide with other organizations. So I can ask and get back to you.
Okay.
I'm 99% sure, but
I'm pretty sure you guys do too.
Yeah.
The reason I ask, I I've recently gotten a bike and I've just been riding on all the trails. And there's at least 4 intersections on the Waterhouse Trail, particularly as you go up through towards Bethany and towards that area up there. At where a road intersects, there's a curb there. So you actually have to get off your bike and lift it over and then lift it up on the next one instead of there being like a ramp. And it's just certain intersections, and it's very frustrating as a bike rider. So I don't know like how we get in the loop for like a capital improvement plan or like if it's like a fix or something, but it's just very frustrating. And the other day when I was on the trail, like there were at least 6 other bicyclists doing the same thing. And it's just little things like that. I was like, I wonder if anyone's even thought about that.
Does it make sense? Is it the part that goes into, it's a wooded plank?
No, this is where, yeah, there's like 5 or 6 cross streets where like automotive streets. And the trails typically when you enter those, there's like there's just the concrete goes flat to the road, and then you can go, on the other side up. And this one is just like the parking curbs. And so you have to jump, it's kind of a pain. So I didn't know, what the formal thing is to request those get fixed. They're, on the list of, I'm sure,
No, but I would suggest if you could, you don't have, but if you send me more information, I can immediately send that out to maintenance. We get a lot of phone calls and emails, and we normally just send them out. They have this area where they receive, and they're relatively fast. I send in things when I've been at an event and I see something, and then I go back 2 weeks later or a week later, sometimes days later, and it's done.
Okay, that'd be fantastic. Would you mind putting your email address in the chat box, and I'll send that out to you this week.
And same goes to everybody. If it's even something that you might think, oh, maybe she doesn't know, I can just ask around and send it to the person.
Look at this amazing service. We love you guys so much.
We get that a lot. Thank you.
What other questions for Lulu do we have? Come on, you're getting first-rate service here. You gotta take advantage of it.
I actually have a question, but more of a logistics one. I was trying to keep up with you and all the amazing things that are happening at THPRD for the minutes. Do you have like a summary that you could send me so I can make sure that when these go out to the community, cool, awesome.
Yes, we'll do.
Any other questions before we move on? Lulu, thank you so much. It's always good to see you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, let me see. Next on the agenda, Jonathan, do you have an update for the BCCI?
A little bit. I unfortunately missed the last meeting for a socially distanced birthday for my dad's 70th, but I do know that the Beaverton Voters Forum is on October 14th. I believe that's a Wednesday, and it's 7 to 9.
Yes.
Double check. Thank you. We got the mayor runoff with Lacey and Denny, the new Beaverton City Council position has 3 candidates, and then the runoff for the Washington County Commissioner District, which we're in. It's going to be streamed on YouTube as well as TVC TV. So check it out. It's going to be great. And then if anyone has questions for the candidates, get those to me so that I can pass them on. And then if Franziska has something to add.
I just put the link to the website in the chat. That's for that folks can also, if you don't want to send them to Jonathan, you can submit them directly yourself as well. Thank you, Jonathan, for offering to be a conduit, though. Appreciate it. But the website will also have all of the information for how to view it online, but it will also be on TVC TV channel 30, which is the English channel, and it will also be on TVC TV channel 28. So there'll be live Spanish interpretation that'll be fed to that channel at the same time.
Awesome. Franziska, do you want to jump right in with the city update?
Sure, yeah, that was actually one of the items on my update. So thanks, Jonathan, for taking that off my list. Let me just see if there's anything else in here that I need to mention. Oh, the deadline for getting questions in is October 7th. Because we're not able to take questions live, we need to have them in advance so that we can compile them. And the questions need to be directed to all candidates in a given race. So those are the only other two additions that I have. The only other update that I have is regarding the interim city manager recruitment. So the city is hiring for an interim city manager to support the new city charter implementation and regular city manager recruitment. On January 1st, 2021, the city will transition from a mayor council to a council manager form of government as a result of the voter approved charter changes from the May 2020 election. The interim city manager will be appointed in fall by city council and will report to the council, as well as provide administrative direction, support to city initiatives, and leadership to all city departments. The position will serve as Beaverton's first city manager and will serve in the role for approximately 6 months to include the recruitment, selection, and early onboarding of the city manager. Applications are currently being accepted electronically by the Novak Consulting Group. The position is open until filled, with the first review of applications happening on October 15th, and the interim city manager is expected to begin on January 1st. And for details regarding charter implementation, as well as there's a great infographic that got developed to delineate the different roles and responsibilities under the new charter for like what is the new mayor position under the new city charter. So it's an infographic for the city manager, what city council's responsibilities are now, and what the new mayor responsibilities are now. So I'll put that web link in the chat as well, so folks can check that out if they are so inclined. Does anybody have any questions on that? There will also be like a social hour to meet the candidates that council will be facilitating as well, similar to the one that they did for Judge Summers, who just got hired as one of our new municipal judges. So if folks attended that, it will be a similar kind of setup for whoever the final applicants will be for this.
Thanks, Franziska. So next on the agenda.
Hey, John, can I add something really quick?
Of course, of course.
So this is not a question for Franziska, but it's a little extra update that some of you will be interested in too. The city of Beaverton just approved the outdoor dining areas to continue until basically until further notice, until the city council says no more. So sticking around for a while.
Great news. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Super fantastic news.
Quick question, Kevin. Does that include the First Street Dining Commons?
Yes. Yeah, pretty cool.
You guys, it's happening. We're becoming urban. We're becoming a city. I love it. Cool. Amanda, do you have minutes you would like to present?
Yes, I would like to present the minutes. They were sent out to the board following the last meeting. Are there any corrections or edits that anyone would like to see?
I only glanced very briefly, so I did not see any.
Everything was fine from my end.
Yeah, Amanda, I thought they looked good too. I really appreciate you sending them out like right after the meeting. That's very helpful.
Yeah, no worries. It gets it off of my to-do list.
Yep.
Okay. Not hearing any corrections. Would any of the board members like to create a motion or submit a motion to accept the minutes as written?
I submit a motion to accept the minutes.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Good
Board
job.
members, yay or nay? Everybody give me a thumbs up. Any thumbs downs? I think we're good. I believe we're good to go. So your minutes were approved. Thank you so much, Amanda, as always. Ryan is not here for a Treasury report, so we will pass that on to next month. It looks like, let's see, looks like Nyssa, you may be up for the fountain and the Erickson trunk sewer.
Yes, so I'm just going to share my screen here. I have a little presentation to show you. I know we have met several other times, about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, to discuss the fountain and where we were at that point. At that point, we were about at 30% design. I'm glad to say that we are now at 100% design, and we've actually now have funding to go forward with the project. I know that was something that we didn't really have at the time, but we wanted to get all the plans in place just in case that did happen. So I will share this presentation. Let me know if you can't see it or if anything's off with it. So right here we have, the fountain, as we all know. I'm going to go through some pictures of, where the fountain currently is, and then just some standard drawings, very similar to the drawings you probably saw at the 30%. Nothing major has changed. It was just a lot of refinement in getting it to what we really wanted it to be. More pictures of the fountain. Facing this way, the pump house will be probably more to your right side, out of the distance here, but facing 5th Street. Here we have the current play structure. And then here we have an aerial kind of view. And so we'll look at the project goals for this project. And one is to relocate the vault. Also the fountain is failing. So it's about 20 years old, I think. So we're looking at upgrading it just all around at that. And then, so this little square is where the current vault is. We have to open it up, it's confined space. It's also, it's a hazard when we have kids running around, because that's when the fountain gets used the most. That's when it needs the most improvement and work and maintenance done on it, unfortunately, is during the summer. We're going to upgrade the aging fountain and meet current codes. A lot of the pumps are not meeting code right now. They're kind of grandfathered in. The pressure they actually shoot out with is a little bit too much. And then we're going to improve the drainage. So you can see right here, these puddles of water here. A lot of that is due to the poor drainage that we have in the area where the fountain is. And then, so I'll show you some other pictures, but this is a good aerial view that I like to show to people. This current play structure is going to be consolidated near the other play structure that's right over here. And this is where the pump house will now go. So this is hopefully what the fountain will look like. These are just renderings that we have. As you can see now, the pumps will have fountain spigots that do a little different things here. We have arches, we have bubblers, we have ones that go straight up. They also have lighting, like I said, better drainage all around. We'll replace the bricks, and so they're set a little better. A lot of times they're popping up, so we're looking to also fix those issues. This is what I'll look at like at night. We're trying to really incorporate kind of that 18-hour living space with the fountain. And, I think bringing light to that area would really help, especially with the fountain. The programmable jets to do little shows. We'll also, have lights, things of that nature. It also help with all our events as well. It'll just give us that extra level of when we have events within the city park to be able to do things. So like I mentioned earlier, over here is the existing underground vault. Here's the proposed mechanical building. And then, like I said, we would consolidate this play area with the one over here. And it would also be a brand new play set, so it would be more ADA friendly. We're also looking at putting pads down instead of the mulch. So all around, it would be very ADA friendly. These are just more renderings. You can see the trees. We're trying to do as much as possible not to affect any of the trees. And any trees we are affecting, that they are to be, replanted in a way that really maintains their health and the trees within the area. Right here's the Kathy Stanton tree. We're not touching that. Yeah, and then you can see how the consolidated area. I think this really helps parents. Also is, if you have children playing in the fountain and then, children playing the swings, you can kind of watch them and keep an eye on them a little bit more in a consolidated fashion, as opposed to, having one play set over here by 5th Street and then one over here by 4th. So this is what the actual mechanical building will look like. As you can see, it's very basic. It's, you know, it's a pump house. So that's just we're just taking all of the, you know, what I like to call the guts of the fountain, and we're just putting it above ground, so it's no longer underneath the vault. This is, you know, the side of the building. This is the other side, the west side. And then, so this is the back side. This is what's actually kind of facing the fountain. We do have 1% for the arts allocated for this program. So this is kind of, you know, where we're hypothetically looking at possibly putting, you know, that 1% for the arts. So we don't have, you know, such a big wall that's kind of just empty, staring back at the fountain. And then this is what it would look like built out. You know, we're trying to do as much natural plantings and really just keep the aesthetic of the park there. It's not ideal to put a big, you know, building there, but if we do, and we are, you know, we're trying to blend it in as much as we can with the natural setting that's already there. And then, yeah, you know, that's just kind of like a quick overview of where we're at now. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have about, you know, project timelines, schedules. Right now we're looking at hopefully breaking ground late fall, early winter, and then having it complete by mid to late summer. That's kind of the schedule we're aiming to hit. Everything happened rather rapidly, and it was a combination of things. It was a combination of, now we had funding, and then a combination of, you know, COVID happening, where, you know, we, you know, didn't want too many people congregating, and the fountain likely was not going to be open because of COVID. So we're trying to, you know, get this project going as quickly as possible to really, you know, kind of capitalize on, you know, what is an unfortunate situation, but trying to make it fortunate, you know, for the fountain in the coming years.
Well, thank you for that. Any questions for Nyssa?
I think I just have one there. Thanks for showing us this. Do you have any idea what kind of impact the construction will have on the use of just the park in general while it's happening?
Yeah, so there will be impacts. We will have to do some trenching and boring, and we're trying to do it as much as we can in the winter, but that in and of itself also produces problems. And if we have, you know, bad weather or something, that could add project delays. But a lot of it, you know, some of it will be fenced off. You know, we're going to have to tear up a bunch of, you know, where the actual current splash pad is, and you know, where we want to construct the building. So there will be some impact to the park over the winter. We've also reached out to the farmers market to try our best to work with them hand in hand to make sure that doesn't impact the farmers market. The farmers market happens on the weekend. We shouldn't be doing construction on the weekend. We should have a staging area that hopefully doesn't impact the farmers market. We're doing the best we can to, you know, mitigate any negative effects that the construction might have, but naturally there will be some impact.
Thank you.
Has there been any thought to using that art budget for a mural on the backside of the building?
Yes, that has definitely been discussed. I think we're at the early stages of, you know, how we're going to use that 1% of the art, but there definitely has been discussion about a mural or some kind of wall planting, interactive, you know, plants that kind of, you know, come out a little bit. So there's been no hard decisions made on what is actually going to be put up, but I think, you know, definitely a mural has been brought up several times.
Do you know the mechanism for that decision and how we can get involved with it or provide input to the city for that?
I think reaching out to the arts program, I think it's in the mayor's office. Franziska might have more information on that. I do not know off the top of my head, but I can certainly research it and get back to you and get you that contact information to the arts manager.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in really quick. So in terms of those processes, it is something that goes through the arts program. They work closely with the Arts Commission. And Amanda, feel free to jump in and correct me if I say anything that isn't totally accurate. Amanda is also, she does double duty serving on the Arts Commission as well. But there is actually a subcommittee within the Arts Commission, a selection committee for public art. And so it would go through that review process. They would put it out, a call for artists. And so but it would be very closely with the Arts Commission and the arts program. I just wanted to add one more thing since I am helping with the public engagement on this project. We do have a website that has been created for the library fountain update. So we'll go ahead and put that in the chat. That's going to be a continual resource for folks as updates are available throughout the project. We are also planning to have sometime in mid-November, we haven't chosen a date yet, to have a virtual open house. So a similar kind of presentation to this, but we will have sent notification to folks within like 2,000 feet within the city outside of the fountain is what I mean. And so anyway, just putting that out there for anybody who might be interested. I'll put the website, we'll have all the details there for that open house for folks to get to know about the project and answer questions.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions for Nyssa? I know Nyssa, were you also going to do the Erickson trunk?
Yeah, so Stacy Revay is going to give a quick
Stacy.
update on
Okay.
the Erickson trunk. But if you have any questions regarding the fountain, please feel free to contact me. And also that webpage that Franziska just sent out, I think it should have my email address, and you should also sign up for alerts as well. Anytime there's an edit made to that website, you'll get an alert on that. So that'd be the best way to figure out what's going on with the fountain.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time tonight. That was really helpful.
No problem. Y'all have a great one. And I'll stay on the call just in case any questions come up.
Stacy, you're up.
All right, great job, Nyssa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, my headphones haven't been working too well today. So another exciting capital project that's happening in your area is the Erickson Trunk Sewer and Water System Improvement Project. And so basically there are two different phases of this project, but in general, it's a water line replacement and then also a sewer upsizing improvement project. So actually it helps to increase the capacity, the flow capacity of those utilities. So phase one will be finished probably late fall of 2020, and phase two, which is on Erickson from 5th to 10th Street. It will basically primarily be through the Beaverton Lodge, the condominiums, 5th Street, and repavement of the pedestrian pathway that's there. And that primarily will be the water line replacement, again, on Erickson Avenue from 5th Street to 10th Street. And so the construction will probably start spring of 2021. And there is a website as well that is ready, and I can go ahead and put that in the chat for you all. It's beavertonoregon.gov/Erickson.
Yep,
so
I got you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Great job on that. And then so basically what we're going to be doing is having an open house, just kind of like what we're doing here. But again, it will be for anyone that lives within 1,000 feet to 1,500 feet of the project site. And that will be October 21st at 6 p.m. We were just going to have it a little bit earlier, but there's just a whole lot going on as far as the voters forum and the different debates and such. So we just wanted to make sure to pick a time that wasn't competing with any of those. But as far as that goes, that's about it. It's just my little snapshot on sort of another exciting project that's in your neighborhood. So thanks.
Question for you. I don't know if you guys monitor Nextdoor at all. People, there's a rumor going around Central Beaverton that all of the trees on the pedestrian pathway, that we're going to lose a lot of them. And so we have, and I'm sure there's going to be some work there. I was like, people are like freaking out about it. And so there are also some really old big trees there too. So I didn't know if you guys have gotten that far and you're planning to know exactly which ones are coming down and and where they are and all of that. So if you could give us an update on that.
Yeah, and actually, are you referring to the next door kind of conversation that was happening? I will say probably 3 weeks to a month ago.
Yeah,
there was a whole lot of conversation going on.
Yeah,
right.
June through August seemed to be active.
Okay.
Yeah, people were like, call the city, and I was like, well, let's get more information first.
Yes, so actually Sergi is the project manager on this project. And so I'm working on capital projects and public engagement, working with Franziska and the rest of the engineering team on some of these capital projects. So that's another reason why we're going to be doing a second open house. There was a first one for phase 1 and then a second one, but there have been a lot of conversations now between the city and the folks that were kind of having a lot of conversation on next door. And I think there was a misunderstanding of what they thought the project was. So, but just to kind of back up about the trees and which ones will be removed and which will be replaced, we're working with the city arborist, also Jared Lane. So hopefully we will have a slide that we will provide at the open house on October 21st that will kind of explain that a little bit more. Okay. So I can't tell you specifically, you know, in my mind, I can sort of see it, but we're going to hopefully develop a graphic for that. So it will be much easier for everybody to kind of understand.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really helpful. I know that people have asked probably twice since then, and then I just knew that conversation had happened. So I think, yeah, I think if you get any opposition, it will be because of the trees. So I think as clear as we can be on mitigation, if you have to, where they're going to be planted, that sort of thing would be really helpful too. In addition to, you know, outlining the trees that you have to take down, being really firm on that mitigation and replanting and all of that would be really, really helpful for the neighborhood.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much. That's helpful to us too, just to hear that feedback again. So I'll work with the project manager to make sure that we can get something developed. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Just another real quick question on that note. Can you, and if you don't have this information, then that's understandable. And I'll save it for the open house. In terms of determining tree removal and whatnot, it was kind of my understanding that some of that may have been for regular maintenance. And have access to the site ongoing, and some of it is, of course, just due to the construction. How much of that do you know is choices that the contractor is making, and how much is what the city is deciding in terms of being able to continue to maintain access?
I think that's a really great question. So I tell you what, I can go ahead and get your email from Franziska and make sure that I get that information to you.
Yeah, no worries. Or if it's going to be available on the 21st, then that's fine too. And then the only other question is the other public meeting that you're referring to the one that was in January of this past year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure that I hadn't missed a meeting.
No.
That the city had gone to the condominiums and in particular, but wasn't sure about the other availability of information to the residents otherwise.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
Stacy, will that have any impact on the residents and just the water to their homes or sewer?
As far as it not working during construction?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I believe it's sort of a phased construction. That way it won't be impacting. I mean, functioning toilets and drinking water is, you know, that's very important for everybody. So no, that it's not planned that any of that will be shut off or anything like that.
I mostly ask selfishly because we're right around the corner.
Yeah, but these are all really great questions. So definitely I can make sure I loop back with Sergi to get the answer for you.
Thank you. Kevin, did you have a question? I thought I saw you.
Yeah, but I think it might be better for Maria in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Any other questions for Stacy then before we move forward? Seeing none. Stacy, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks so much.
Alrighty. So next on the list, Maria, you are up to give us an update on the safe parking program.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you. It's been like, what, 6 months?
6 years, come on, it's been
Oh
forever.
my God, I know. Well, I'm here to give you all a quick update about the Safe Parking Program. I don't know if you guys recall, but the Safe Program is a program that provides parking for individuals and families living out of their vehicles to have like a stable place to park while they transition over to affordable housing. The program has been operating for over 1.5 years now. And so we have been operating with 3 sites, which one barely made it when the COVID started, and that's a church. We have the THPRD one, and then the one that the city of Beaverton is providing. So my main reason for my visit here with you guys today is because, as you all know, one of the sites is the Beaverton Community Center one. And now that BPD has moved on to their new building, we're gonna be moving our site to Griffith. So it's just gonna be moved over there just for safety and more privacy for guests that are in the parking program. So there will be another meeting on October 14th that is mainly going to be for neighbors around the Griffith Drive building. But you guys are more than welcome to come since it is in your neighborhood association. It is going to be at 7 p.m. and you do have to RSVP. I'll put the email on the chat where you RSVP if you guys would like to join. And that's kind of a presentation of what the Safe Parking Program is, a little bit more of the logistics, and you know, if you guys have any questions or concerns, or anybody that from the businesses around. We are still working on exactly where we're going to place the infrastructure in the parking lot. It is going to be in the parking lot behind the building, but we're still kind of deciding the actual placement of it. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'm more than welcome to take that. If not, you guys can also join us on October 14th again, just to see if you guys have any questions. But that was my little small update. I don't know if you guys have anything you guys would want to share with me since I haven't seen you in forever. So
I just want to jump in really quick and say I think what Officer Sutton was talking about before was actually what Maria just gave the update on, that it's not actually that the Griffith building is going to be used as a day use site. It's just that the Safe Parking Program is going to be using the Griffith building for their site. So I think there might be a miscommunication or a misunderstanding there, but I just wanted to clarify that I think that might be what was being referenced to, because there's currently no plans to anything beyond just the Safe Parking Program moving over to the Griffith building.
Yeah, thank you for that, Franziska.
Yeah, and I'll just say one other thing in case you're like, October 14th, that's the voters forum at 7 p.m. The voters forum will be recorded. So if you're desperate to have this meeting and get all your questions answered about the Safe Parking Program, you can totally watch the voters forum at your leisure. The recordings will be up on the website. So just wanted to make sure that folks didn't feel like they had to choose. You can have it all. You can have your cake and eat it too.
Or you can email us and then watch the voters forum. So you can choose whichever one. But yeah, I was a little confused also when Officer Sun was saying that, because yeah, not that we know if there's nothing on the works about that. We're still even working exactly what access guests will have to the building, or if they will even have any access to the building. Such as like right now at the Beaverton Community Center, they don't have access to the building. That's a locked building, so they have a portable restroom and a pod as the infrastructure of their program. So yeah, I don't think that if we do, that maybe might be shared on October 14th during the meeting.
Maria, I have a question for you. First of all, compliments again to the city. I think it's hardly noticeable in most of the places that I've seen. And I'm always like proud that we're able to offer some assistance to people. So number one, that. Number two, we were looking, so I don't know if you heard me earlier talking about our efforts with masks, with the cotton reusable mask. And I guess my question is there a need to distribute masks maybe to people in need there? And if so, could we do that through you or through people with the city? You know, we've distributed around 300 so far. and I've got about probably around 50 on me right now, and I've got another 50 to maybe 100 being produced right now. But if you guys could use them in your, because one of our missions there is to target communities that don't have access or have less access to masks. So if you guys could use them, we would love to give you some and
Yeah, for sure.
distribute them.
Yeah, I'll get in contact with you because shelter season's coming up too. So there might be a need there too. So I will contact you, John. I still have your email, so.
Okay, perfect. We've distributed probably 150 to 200 to Family Promise of Beaverton already.
Yeah.
So we're working through them already, but so awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you for your work.
We got a couple comments. Hi. Yeah, I want to second what John said. Great job to the city, and thank you for putting together this program. My sister is in law school in Denver, and they were learning about programs like this, and their instructor actually mentioned Beaverton. And
what?
Yeah.
All the way in Denver?
Yeah. So she texted me and she's like, do you know about this? I said, yeah, it's pretty cool. So thanks for doing that. The second question is only a little bit related because it connects to the community center. But I saw an email come in saying that there's going to be a meeting for a potential affordable housing development on 5th Street there. And I don't know anything else beyond that. But if anybody has information here, that would be great.
Well, Kevin, we don't really know anything else beyond that either.
Okay.
Yes, we don't. So we might have to join that meeting with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually tomorrow night's council meeting is when they're going to be discussing it. It's a presentation with Javier Mena, who's the affordable housing manager, and so they're going to be talking about. It's called Project C, and so the community center has been identified because of its unique location and its centrality to services. So there's FAQs that are being developed. There's a presentation that's going to be given, but we're still in really, really, really early discussions at this point. But the email that you got, Kevin, was folks that in that area, community center users, the community garden users, folks that have an invested interest in that property, so that people can know that this is something that's being discussed at the council level. So I'll be definitely tuning in tomorrow night to see what that discussion looks like.
Thank you. Now you reminded me why city council is on my agenda tomorrow, or on my schedule. Couldn't remember why.
What other questions do we have for Maria?
Looks like Lindsay has her hand raised on the call-in.
Oh, okay. Lindsay, Franziska, can we unmute her?
Yep, she's unmuted. Lindsay,
yeah, hi.
Unmuted.
Yeah, so Will and I have been in close contact with the city. We have been in contact with officers, city staff, as well as safe parking staff. And this has been ongoing since it was brought onto the property behind our place, because we are a 3-story town unit that looks down on it. So the privacy piece has been a big thing. I'm glad that they're going to be actually getting that privacy that they deserve, moving locations. And Franziska, were you waiting to say things tomorrow? Because we've already been notified of what's going to happen back there as far as the plans for construction.
I just meant that we don't have a whole lot of information. I've been part of the discussions internally around getting the word out about that discussion at the council level. Okay. I was just saying we don't actually have a whole lot of information to provide. More will be revealed at the meeting tomorrow night.
Yes, and I'll be at that meeting tomorrow as well. The individuals with plot locations at the community garden out back have been notified that there's going to be a potential 70-unit low-income housing apartment complex being placed back there. So definitely more will be learned tomorrow at the city council, and we'll be involved in that as well. Definitely motivation to get involved.
Great. Well, thank you, Lindsay. Was there anything else that you wanted to either ask Maria or myself, or any other comments?
No, that was just, it felt vague. So just know that we've been notified and the city is aware of what potential plans are, and we want to get involved in the early stages of it.
For sure. Yep. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks, Lindsay. Think that unless there were no more other questions for Maria, we will turn it over to Dan and Jean with the City of Beaverton for the Downtown Design Loop project.
Thanks, John. And it's a pleasure to attend your meeting. You guys have a very nice group together, and it's just a nice, productive, and friendly atmosphere. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and talk to you guys. I must admit that this will be, I believe, right, Jean, this will be the first presentation we make of the Loop project outside of City Hall. So it's probably going to be really awful, and you guys will have to correct us and give us a lot of pointers. But we're very, very thankful for the opportunity. The goal is just to give you a general introduction into the Loop project. And just to let you know that things are really going to be starting to roll very soon. And then we're very interested in any questions and observations you have. I'll try to go through what is a brief conversation relatively quickly and not dwell too much on details. So let me see if I can get that started up here. There we go. And as you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm here to talk about the Beaverton Downtown Loop project. What you see here, and this is one of the snafus that Jean pointed out, I did not copy the right graphic here, so it's a little grainy, but these are pictures all up and down the loop, which is the one-way couplet Watson and Hall from Crescent Street down to 5th Street. And the idea here is just to give an idea of the fact that it's very varied. Yeah, has a lot of uniqueness, I think, with respect to the downtown. So the loop is a concept to establish a connection between what is Beaverton Central, north of the downtown, or north part of the downtown, to the old town part, south of the downtown. It's to reimagine the use of public space, the division of the space between, for example, transportation modes and other activities, and then insert a common set of elements into the streetscape. It's really looked upon as a link, linking the north and south parts of downtown, and something that's going to be welcome and accessible to everybody. Right now, the conditions north and south are quite varied. You can even see it on this map. I was just noticing as I was preparing, you know, you look at the bigger, there's a lot of bigger buildings here in Beaverton Central to the northern part of the downtown, and then the old town is, you know, a lot of smaller buildings. So there's a great variance of land use from one side of this this loop to the other. Transportation wise, Watson and Hall are a very main north-south arterial through the downtown. They do carry quite a bit of traffic. And the main thing I'd like to point out is right now, and this is the main goal of the project, for people walking and biking and even taking transit, there really is a barrier between these two parts of the downtown that is formed by Canyon Road, Farmington Road, and the train track here. It's visual. It's also timing wise. You take a good amount of time to cross those, and also safety wise. To round out the current conditions with respect to transit, there's quite a bit of transit in this area. We have a couple MAC stations. We have a commuter rail station, WES. There are various bus routes that converge on the transit center, one of which is the 76 line, which goes up and down Watson and Hall and is frequent service. The Loop project came from, the idea for it came from the Downtown Design Project, which was an initiative the city launched a couple years ago to look at the entire downtown and look at what the city wanted to see in terms of urban design and streetscape, and looking at city street classifications, design standards, how to use public spaces, and really how to use the levers that are available to the city to make the kind of development that we want happen. both in terms of zoning by way of the development code, but then also in terms of land use by way of the comprehensive plan. One of the things that came out of the downtown design project, which was approved by City Council in the fall of 2018, is the urban design framework. And this was looking at the nature and shape of different areas within the downtown, starting to rethink the use of different city streets downtown, what the roles of each of the streets could be. For example, which streets could work well as main streets or even pedestrian streets, and which streets needed to really keep a function of helping traffic get through. And then the other concept that came out of the urban design framework, which is something that carried over into the loop, is that of gateway location. So gateway location is basically how people are entering and exiting the downtown. So for example, a big one here would be, you're coming down Hall here, you're coming in, you're crossing Beaverton Creek here and coming into the downtown. How do you know that you've come to the downtown? How does the downtown announce itself? What we're just about to engage in, and where I mean we're just starting out, what we're excited about, something a little more serious than just sitting around and thinking about things, is the downtown loop urban design and transportation plan, in which a team of landscape architects, urban designers, planners, and engineers will develop a concept plan for what the loop will look like, and it will engage the community thoroughly in this planning process. The tasks that they'll take is starting out the project, really working with the city to figure out what the best engagement process should be to equitably get people's feedback on things. The inventory analysis, which is the second step, is looking at what's there physically along these roads, the streetscape of these roads, and also looking at the number of plans and information that the city has that are relevant to the loop in the downtown area. The next step, project vision, goals, and objectives, is where we reach out internally and most importantly externally to the city to get people's ideas as to what they'd like to see this project accomplish. What are the goals for this project? Based on the information they get from the inventory and the vision and goals from the engagement process, the team will develop various alternatives for what these streets, the streetscape, and the division of space transportation-wise could be on this one-way pair. And we'll take these alternatives back to people and help an evaluation of them towards a determination of a preferred alternative. So before all of that, the last couple things I want to say is we're going to have a city survey crew be out collecting data, most likely at the end of October, November, to be getting the information that the design team is going to need to look at the details up and down the right-of-way of these streets, and utilities will be marked with temporary paintings. We are at the final stages of negotiating with the consulting firm that whose offer was the best offer, and we hope to have that contract signed by the end of the month so that the work with the design team can begin in November. The plan is that would take about 9 months. The surveying would be done probably beginning around that time, so that by the time they need that information, it'll be done. And finally, again, my name is Dan. Here's my email and number if you have any questions, but most importantly, please let Jean and I know if you have any questions or observations. Jean, sorry, I didn't give you a chance to sort of chime in as we went page by page, but maybe you have a few things to add, or you can point out some of the bigger mistakes I made before these guys catch them.
No, thanks, Dan. Just, one thing I wanted to comment on, was when we were hearing about the dining commons. Maybe it was you, John, who spoke up and talked about, you know, I think you said something like we're becoming a city. And I feel like this is sort of part of that evolution of downtown Beaverton. You know, this idea has been around now for a few years, and we're really excited to be moving it forward. Dan didn't mention, you know, this is also a project that is funded through BURA. This is a priority when we're talking about our redevelopment plans in the downtown. There's been a number of efforts on the private property side. This is really the first big public infrastructure out in the right-of-way project that we're moving forward with as part of BURA's effort. So just really excited to be getting this work started, and I definitely want to hear any questions you might have.
One thing I'd like to point out before, and I don't know how this came across, really this work is coming up with a concept plan, but it's not at all just sort of hiring consultants to go back to their desks and come up with what they think would work in terms of the urban design and also the transportation sort of division of space. A big part of this is not the product, but the process. We've invested a lot of our thinking and a lot of the budget to having a really wide and prolonged engagement process with people, so that what comes out of this is something that people support. We want to present this to BURA and the City Council at the end of this and have it be, you know, something that is an easy yes for them, because there's a lot of support around a particular concept plan that can later be designed and then executed in some according to some implementation plan.
Thanks you guys for this. Is really helpful. I'll start with a question, then we'll go around. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few, but what are we looking at for budget, and who would be the source of that funding? I know BURA is tapped for the parking garage and the arts center. Would this be something they would additionally bond? Do we know what, you know, when I think of this, I'm on the budget committee too, so I start seeing dollar bills, and I want to make sure we can actually implement something and not just draw up a plan. So could you elaborate maybe a little more on that?
Sure. Can I take a stab at that, Dan?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, okay.
You so know right the exact number right now, Jean, right?
No. So one of the things we will be doing as part of this plan is developing an implementation strategy. So when we get to the end of our planning process, we'll have a preferred alternative. Our consultants will develop a planning level cost estimate. So you're going to see something that's probably more like a range, a cost expressed as a range rather than like a very specific dollar amount. There is, the BURA budget has anticipated some funding towards the capital improvements. And whether or not that will fully fund everything we build, it's too soon to say, right? Because we don't know yet what's going to be in the plan and how much of a change we're talking about. But there are other funding sources that are available regionally through grants that are where the federal funds that come through our region, they go through Metro. That's definitely a source we'll be looking at, as well as just other sources that may be available. So I would expect that this will be a project where we talk about the existing city funds we have and BURA funds we have and what other funds those might leverage. But we'll also want to have that conversation around implementation and probably phasing the project. We may not be able to build it all at once, but you know, what's the right approach so that we do get the outcomes that we want to see. And I think those early on conversations about vision and goals will lead to kind of those guiding ideas that will then play out in our preferred alternative that is selected, that will be recommended to council, and then what's an approach to getting it built. So there's sort of an answer for you, but you know, don't have too many specifics now. Yeah.
The other thing
Dan, you want to add anything in?
I just would like to add, you know, one of the things that we've built into this work as well is whatever comes out of this, we want to be able to apply and give information in terms of this project with respect to different types of benefits, you know, quantitative benefits in terms of, say, improving the safety for pedestrians and bicyclists, you know, other benefits from an urban design or development point of view. So hopefully a product that we'll get out of this work will help us later go around and shop this project around to different potential sources of funding and be able to talk their language and convince them that this is a project that has significant benefits and should be funded.
Yeah, it seems like this is intersectional for a couple things. Just off the top of my mind, you have the city's climate initiatives that were just passed, plus the active transportation plan. You know, this is going to fit right along with those. So I just want to make sure we get this funded as quickly as possible, because this is, like you said, this could be potentially be quite transformative to our neighborhood and to our city, and to a lot of the ways we interact with our streets and our neighbors and everything else. I think it's really exciting. What other questions do we have for Dan and Jean?
Hello, it's Tom. First, a couple comments, then a couple questions. First off, I'm really excited that the city is taking the time to address this particular area. I know, and I do not envy the task that you have in front of you, especially in reconciling those transportation corridors and the different jurisdictions that you have to deal with. And so then that leads me to the questions, which are, I understand that this is very early in the process and you're doing the search, but from the city side, as you're conceptualizing things, do you have an idea of, first off, what the potential scope that you're willing to accept, you know, in terms of a solution from a design firm comes back? If they present something that's really maybe somewhat radical, but would look like it would work, whether it be, you know, an entire elevated system of transportation, but I wouldn't be able to, you know, come up with anything specific, but something that's just more than, well, let's put some extra bollards up and let's put, you know, and increase signage. I'm just wondering how aggressive your approach is from particularly the transportation side.
You know, Tom, that's a really good question, and you know, I think we made a really good decision in coming to you guys as one of our first presentations, because you're getting to the heart of the questions that people have. The answer to your question right now for us is, like I said before, this is really a process-oriented, not product-oriented. You know, this isn't these guys that we're going to hire going back and coming back to us with what they think would work. We're really going to go out to talk to people first in general, but then in detail about, you know, what they'd like to see out of these facilities downtown. Mm-hmm. We're trying to keep it open in terms of what types of interventions we would look at and the aggressiveness of them, mm-hmm. because we honestly don't know what the appetite is out there, both in terms of the public and also to a certain extent politically within the city. You know, the city in general has been very supportive in terms of looking at more sustainable transportation solutions, especially in the downtown area. But, you know, this would be possibly one of the first where it really is very on the ground. You know, you're making the decision between, you know, modes of travel or how to use space. And, you know, we don't know what the political appetite is when it gets down to that. So we're remaining open. But having said that, you know, this is, there's a lot that's going to happen in the downtown. There are a lot of things that are going to contribute to that. This project, at least our initial envisioning of it, is it's going to be something where we're looking at the streetscape within the right-of-way, both from an urban design and sort of an allocation of space within the right-of-way of these two streets. So we would envision, and again, this is before going out and really talking to people about it, we would envision that it would entail sort of wayfinding measures, things that are going to make the streetscape look visually more appealing and safe, and as a kind of a pleasant place for people to walk and bike, and then probably some reallocation of the space within the right of way away from motorized transport towards, you know, bicycles and pedestrian. We don't anticipate that being radical, but again, you know, we don't know. This is not going to be a technically driven solution. It's really going to be reaching out to people and seeing what, you know, what people are interested in, and then us providing them sort of the pros and cons from a technical point of view with respect to each of these solutions. For example, if the appetite comes, people are like, oh my gosh, yeah, we gotta make these streets pedestrian, you know, pedestrian only. That's what we want to do. And then at that point, we as technical practitioners need to say, hey, you know, Hall and Watson are very important north-south throughways through the downtown area. You know, this would have a wider impact on parallel facilities, and this is what you would need to study to make sure that that's accounted for responsibly. So, you know, that would be something that would, if that were the case in terms of what people are interested in, it would probably be something that would be done outside of the scope of this particular endeavor, because like I said, we've focused it, we've had to focus it, because if we left it just completely open-ended, it'd be hard to budget the exercise.
Hey, Thom, Thom, can I interrupt really quick too?
Absolutely.
Because I know you said you had more questions. I have a question for Dan that's related to that comment. I love the plan for kind of focusing on the loop too. I think when I look at Farmington and Canyon specifically though, like I'm concerned that something like bolder and more drastic needs to happen there. So I guess my question is back to you. If this is kind of more process oriented than solutions oriented, I'm not going to try and solution here. Do you feel like the drastic measures that might need to take place in order to make Farmington and Canyon more safe, more, you know, everything that it isn't right now could be solved through this program? Or do you all feel that that's a separate endeavor?
I'm going to let Gene answer that, but I will say that the other thing to keep in mind is this is the first thing that we're looking at. So there's also an element of sort of having a strategy and phasing of doing things. You know, you could start out with something, and then, you know, as you get support, it could go a little more aggressively on things. And the other thing is, ultimately, the solution from a transportation and even urban design point of view is going to be one that's going to be carried out throughout the downtown area. For example, in the transportation part, you know, you have a very wonderful grid of roads here. So what it means is that some of the streets, for example, can take the function of getting traffic through, while others can take the function of becoming places more where people are walking or more Main Street like. I can tell you that as an outsider, you know, I just started working here at Beaverton. My wife and I moved from Washington, D.C. just over the summer. You know, my first take of this project was, you know, if you want to connect these two parts of downtown, something ultimately needs to be done, you know, in terms of Farmington and Canyon, because there's a lot of vehicles that are cutting through the downtown, and the challenge is it provides a very important regional function. So, and also it's a different jurisdiction. So it is challenging. I would suspect that the solution is going to be a phased in solution, one in which, you know, you start out in a certain direction and see how things go. But Gene, surely you have more to add to that.
Yeah. You know, I think Canyon and Farmington are really they're at the center of this, right? That's what creates that barrier. You know, just thinking back to sort of what the project overall is trying to do, and kind of getting back to Tom's question, even in terms of sort of what's the scale and scope of the project. And, you know, we are looking at the right of way. And I would sort of describe it as, you know, what's that reallocation of space? There's places where we have very narrow sidewalks. We have places where there's restaurants that want to spill out onto those sidewalks. I think seeing the success of the open air Beaverton, where we've taken parking lanes and converted those into restaurant space, just kind of really starts to show that Beaverton is really ripe for kind of rethinking about how we use our streets. And you know, those are the sorts of conversations we're going to want to be having through this process about Hall and Watson, and all of the demands on them, all of their functions that we'd like them to provide. You know, Canyon and Farmington, the railroad tracks, you know, I've looked at those many times and tried to kind of reconceive how those might be for pedestrians and cyclists crossing there. You know, there's sections of Hall and Watson where and particularly Watson approaching Canyon there's, you know, sidewalk that just disappears. There's places where the bike lanes drop, and those are things that we absolutely have to fix. Don't yet know what those solutions will be like for people crossing. Every time I have been out walking around downtown, I'm always amazed to find that people are actually crossing there. So there is quite a bit of demand, and I think our interest is really in making those just feel much more comfortable, have a much better sense of safety for people who are using them. But as Dan said, its challenges are both really important east-west streets that serve our downtown and have even a regional significance. They're going to be hard. I don't know what the solution is yet, but we're going to dig in and see what we can come up with. So,
and also I would add, and this is an evolution that I've gone through, you know, don't discount the benefit that can be reached towards the goal of this project, which is to connect the north and southern parts of the downtown. A lot of that can be done by activities within the right-of-way in terms of the urban design of the streetscape and also the allocation of space along the street. I believe that you can get some good solutions that will actually be of significant benefit, even before sort of talking about things that are more drastic.
But we want a Beaverton High Line, though.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come up. I mean, it will come up. And I've walked up and down these blocks many times, and I tell you, you spend a lot of time waiting crossing those streets. You know, people are going to be saying, hey, why don't you put like a pedestrian or bike only bridge over these, you know, which is very hard in terms of being able to fit it there in terms of ADA standards. But, you know, I take that as that's great because, you know, you're willing to prioritize, you know, these modes of transportation and this feeling in the downtown. That's very important. So that energy needs to be harnessed in a way that it could be that ultimately, I mean, if there's enough support, you know, budgetarily, politically, anything can be done. But, you know, short of that, there's still a lot that can be done, and that energy can be harnessed to really support some maybe simpler things that will have a big impact and sort of building momentum. You know, you start doing some things, there are more people walking, more people biking, all of a sudden there's a greater push or reason to do more things that are more aggressive. So, you know, once a momentum starts, it can build upon itself.
Yeah, Dan, I've kind of learned that intimately recently, taking up the bicycling, and that, you know, a lot of the bicycle infrastructure is pretty bad in the city. Like the lanes will just end, or you know, and you're like, what do I do? Yeah. And it's like, you know, I'm also a car driver, and I'm like, if I were driving in a lane, a road just went from paved to dirt, I probably wouldn't drive it. And so I think to myself in terms of bicyclists, I'm like, of course they're not riding now, because we've told them through our infrastructure, don't ride your bike here. It's unsafe, it's unconnected. And I think about that in terms of the plan for, you know, we have to build not for the city we want, or not for the city we have, but for the city we want, right? Like that's why I was saying these things connect our climate plan into our active transportation. All of these things are super critical, because capital budgets are, you know, take many years to get done, and capital projects, you know, no city government's just, you know, rolling in dough, right? Like it's always a question of priorities at that moment. And so, like, how do we build the city that we want in 10, 15 years when the climate equation is going to be even very different than we have now? You know, like how do we do that? And these are really critical to get right in my mind.
Yeah, John, you know, it reminds me of, I've had the pleasure and the I've just been blessed in my life to be able to travel a lot. And I remember going to some countries that were ex-Soviet countries and going into the transit stations, the subway stations in these countries. And they would look like ballrooms. They would have marble all over the place. They would have chandeliers. It was incredibly, impeccably maintained. And to me, it was just wonderful to see because, you know, what a government spends money on, visually especially, tells people what society is giving importance to. So in that case, it was really telling me, you know, hey, they may have been communists, but they were telling, hey, this subway is important. You know, this is, you guys that are taking the subway are important. So, you know, for example, something in terms of, you know, bicycles or even sidewalks, just making them more connected or, you know, improving the facilities, making them newer, making them look better is the way that the city of Beaverton is telling people, hey, we think it's important. People that are walking, people that are biking downtown for a start, you know, you guys are important to us. This is something that we want to support. So I think that means a lot, the physical infrastructure.
For sure. Thank you.
Even small scale.
Yeah. So I'm just noticing, so Lindsay, who's our guest, commented on better timing of the lights. So yes, Lindsay, we're going to get a chance to talk about the operations at the intersections, particularly those signalized ones. We'll be taking a look at all of those. And then Kevin wrote a nice couple of paragraphs here. And do you want to chime in any more, Kevin, or should the chat speak for itself? But yeah, the bike lanes that dropped, we're aware of those. So go ahead, take the floor.
Yeah, I'll add just a little bit. I think it'd be a real shame not to think of really visionary here about how we can restructure our streets for the people who live and work in the downtown area, rather than just thinking about how to get people through. Really supporting the people who are here, I think is really special and really unique. So we got a chance to do something different, and I would love to see us think big.
And just to piggyback off of Kevin's, what's nice is that when you do think big like that, you can enable the residents to be taking non-motor trips. It facilitates the other people who don't have that option to easier. So it's beneficial across all modes, or it can be when it's done correctly. So.
All right, spot on, Tom. That's what I always tell people when I'm on my bike. Otherwise, I'd be in my car. So, you know, and that frees up space. If you guys want a quick win, this is like the biggest pet peeve in the world. In downtown Beaverton, you should not have to push a button to cross the street as a pedestrian. Like, can we just get those to happen? Because I cross Farmington, I cross Canyon. We do like multiple times a week. We cross all these intersections, and if you just miss it by 3 seconds, then you're trapped in another 3 or 4 minute loop. And I'm like, you know, if I would have just gotten here a second ago, or if the signals were like in downtown Portland, where it's just assumes they're pedestrians and you don't have to press the button. I even think about it in terms of COVID, right? Like, I'm like, I have to press this with my elbow now because of COVID. So it'd be really great if, like, at least the high pedestrian corridors, if we could just have those lights automatically come on for pedestrians, and just assume that, again, it's all about that experience, right? Like, if you make it awful for people to walk, they're not going to walk. They're going to get in their car to do everything. And I think we've got to think these little things. They don't sound like a lot, but they really matter. You know, it looks like Lindsay has experienced the same thing in the chat.
Yeah.
You know, if you miss it, you're just there for minutes. In the rain and the cold, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, Beaverton has some incredibly long cycle lengths. Even when you're in a car, it is, it's a long time to wait. Yeah, no, thanks. That's those are the kind of practical things that are extremely helpful to know, because sometimes the little things mean a lot.
Yeah. What other questions for Dan or Jean do we have? We got a bunch of urban nerds here. We're all urban nerds.
That's great.
if you couldn't tell already.
No, it's great. I think Dan and I are urban nerds too.
It's a badge of honor.
Well, one of the reasons, John, that I took this job is working on projects I think it's still something that that people are still working on figuring out a way that a suburban town, especially like a first ring suburb, can develop its own downtown in a unique fashion and balance, you know, like you said, the way that people are living and working in the downtown, and give people the opportunity to live in a way that they don't have to take their car, but at the same time accommodating what they need to accommodate, which is, you know, people using their cars to get around the suburbs. And I'm a city person, but I tell you, the fact that you can take a car and get around Beaverton and not travel too far, I mean, it's good living in terms of the access you have. So that also has a value. So somehow we got to figure out a way that those two can work together.
Did we want to unmute Lindsay, Franziska?
Yep, unmuting right now.
Perfect.
Dan, would you mind taking down your screen share really quick, just so we can all see each other?
Okay, hi guys. So I have a few examples of this. I love to run, and I would run from home to the 24-hour fitness and then run more there and then run back. And so I got caught at the lights, sometimes graciously and sometimes begrudgingly all the time in between that space. The biggest one was, not to get emo on you guys, but I had a cat pass away earlier this year, and we got stopped at both those lights as she was passing. So we basically got to the vet on Cedar Hills as she passed, and she wasn't, we couldn't save her, but it was just one of those things. It was very heartbreaking that we were sitting in the car for 2.5 minutes at one light and then another 2.5 minutes at another light as she was passing. So that was definitely a personal experience. The lights they're so poorly timed, walking, driving, it just is an issue all around. So that, I just wanted to give that little personal discount or account about what I went through.
That sounds absolutely horrible.
It was horrible. But that's enough.
Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. That's really, that can be tough, but it's important to hear those moments.
Yeah, I think it was what, 1.5 miles to get there, and it took about 15 minutes.
Yeah. What other questions or comments do we have for Jean or Dan? Any more?
Nothing really, just I think you've definitely got our this current board's support for this in principle, and we look forward to hearing updates. And please let us know how we can help you guys either get communications out or survey the populace, or you know, I think all of us here really want to see this succeed. It's very important. It's needed, and it's going to be of great benefit to pretty much all of Beaverton, not just our community, you know, not just the central Beaverton neighborhood.
Exactly.
Oh, Dan, you're muted.
I muted myself and started talking. One of the challenges we have, Thom, thank you for saying that. We really appreciate it. I was just thinking through, one of the biggest challenges we're going to have is making sure that we are able to contact contact the people, all the different types of people that live and work downtown, and especially those that are normally underrepresented, because, you know, we really want this project to contribute to the downtown in a way that the downtown does not lose its uniqueness and is not a downtown that ends up just looking like every other downtown. You're in it, you don't really even know where you are, because it looks like, you know, buildings that could be anywhere. And then it's also something that is, you know, is for only certain levels of income or what have you. You know, I think I've heard from just about everybody that we've talked to that we really appreciate what we have in the downtown and the uniqueness and the diversity of it. So our biggest challenge is when we start going out to people, both at the stage of getting visions as to what this project should be, but also then at the stage at looking between alternatives, is making sure that people are at the table there that are going to give us those points of view in numbers, so that what we can make sure that what comes out of this process is something that reflects that importance. So, you know, highlighting those people or getting those people, anybody, basically just getting anybody to come and participate, I think is critical.
And we have a very, obviously a very engaged NAC board. And it's usually even bigger than this. So we're happy to partner with you to help along the way with input, outreach, any of those things. We're in it for the long haul, so we want to make sure we get this right in partnership with you. So if there are no other questions, again, thank you so much for taking the time for us. I know it's late. I know you have everybody has tons of things they could be doing right now, so we're super grateful for your time and for your effort and energy for this.
Thank you for having us, guys. This has been a very productive and important meeting for us.
Yeah, thank you all. It's been
Come
good
back
to
and
meet
see us.
you. And you will probably see us a lot over the next few years. So
Open
thanks for
invite.
making this so welcoming. Yeah, thank you guys.
For sure. Well, that brings us to the visitor comments period, or announcements, concerns, any sort of things. So I'll open the floor if anyone has anything they'd like to bring up. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and jump right in.
I do have something for Beaverton Civic Theater. Thank you to Franziska and Thom for allowing me to squeeze this in here in an already very full agenda. We are expecting to submit a grant of support to the Central Beaverton NAC. And am I able to share screen, Franziska? Do I have that permission? Okay, cool. I just want to show this up here. There we go. So you may remember last year we did our first annual Snowfest, and I wanted to share, we're planning to do it again this year, but virtually. We were able to bring over 700 people from the community during interactive story times and sing-alongs for the holidays, and even wacky holiday-themed science experiments, and participate in community art projects. Here, everyone who came in built a little piece of our snow village and then put up their art for display that they made throughout the 3 days of our festival. And we kept hearing that it was really great to see this year, that it's like a revitalization of the mall, bringing the community in. We had people that only planned to come in for a quick short time while they were waiting for Santa, and then ended up spending the entire day with us. And we just kept hearing over and over and over again that this is something that people wanted to see again. Are we doing this next year? And then we were like, sure, we should definitely do this next year. And now we're in a unique situation where having a large public gathering of 700 people or more is not possible. So we're taking it virtual. This is going to entail still a family-friendly weekend of creative arts and early literacy engagement in hopes of enriching the lives of Beaverton residents by making sure that this is here and it's local, and not just that, but it's financially accessible programming that extends beyond what the city already really does successfully in the summers. The United States Census Bureau shows that in 2017, 13% of central Beaverton neighborhoods had an income below the poverty level, and the central Beaverton neighborhood median household income is the lowest of all of the Beaverton neighborhoods. So we really want to concentrate the kind of outreach that we're doing in this NAC specifically. And that's also because we have a really strong working relationship with Vose Elementary School that will be able to help us access. And in order to, we are planning to do 7 crafts. Some of our partners for this project include the arts program that's already supporting and bringing this back for a second year based on its first success. They don't often give out funding for repeat events, but they saw the value in building this into an ongoing annual experience. Music Together Beaverton will be doing holiday sing-alongs with us again, and the City of Beaverton Library is going to be doing some live storytime events with us that are interactive. And we're planning to do 7 art projects in total. Puppets and costume crafts where people can create crafts that they can then interact with us during the live performances, to create paper plate tambourines with bells for holiday sing-alongs, and then even to create that community placemaking, that community art experience by having a couple of different things that will be created over the schedule of events that people can place in their windows and in their front yards, so that when we're exploring our neighborhood, it's creating this sense of, oh, hey, you were at Snowfest too, even though we weren't in that same place together, we still feel connected as a community and we're able to create art together. So what our request is to cover the cost of 300 art kits so that we can offer the materials list will be available to everyone publicly, but not everyone has the ability to pay for those. And so we're working with Vos Elementary already. Our hope is we're exploring the idea of should we have some of these advanced reservations available that the families on the lunch program that are picking up their free lunches at Beaverton High School will be able to reserve an art kit for a specific one of the experiences and pick it up then, and then also have some available there as well for maybe the families that aren't as able to communicate with them electronically, but they're still able to come and access their lunches. This is modeled off what the Beaverton City Library did with its summer reading program, and they found that very, very successful. Our goal is to make 2,100 kits total, and this is based off of the fact that the library was able to give out about 3,000 books, and we're just thinking in terms of our capacity to be able to help support this project as well. So we're sorry, I lost my spot in my notes. So we're hoping to meet the demand of the community interest, knowing that we had 700 people attend with us that first year, and then also a little bit of support in helping spread the word that this is out there and available to other people that maybe aren't a student at Vos Elementary, but still might be interested in participating in the project. So it would be really great to have some additional financial assistance to be able to give out these kits. I was curious if this is something that the NAC would be interested in helping to support, if there are any questions that you might have logistically or just in terms of the project as a whole, because we're working on preparing the grant document to send over and want to make sure we address any of that.
How are we for volunteer hours on that? I'm assuming you probably have tons of them just based on the nature of the project.
Yeah, so we're kind of also having to be cognizant of the environment of a world in which we live. So our main focus for having volunteer hours would be, there would be the opportunity to help us with distribution at Vos Elementary School, and then also in terms of helping us spread the word to all of your local communities and through your organizations that this is an opportunity that's available to anyone, not just to participate in. Everything's free except for 3 workshops that are $5 each, and that's only because we're offering the ability for girls who are Girl Scouts to earn badges, and it's more interactive and it's concentrated attention for an hour on just a smaller group. But outside of that, everything is free and it's fully packed. I don't know if you saw the schedule for last year, but we're doing exactly what we did live, but virtually. So it's going to be a full day of, you could sit with your family and pop in and out throughout the day. You could do a couple of events in a row. We're really looking to still build on that like continued engagement with come early and make a craft with us, and then you have your craft and then you're able to participate in a whole different way in the story time or the live event that's happening. So those would be our main for volunteer hours. Normally we would say we're gonna have a work party, come and help us put all the kits together, but just keeping in mind of as few hands touching what's being passed on to the kids as possible. We were going to try and keep that close.
No, that makes sense. I just want to make sure, because we would need somewhere around 100 hours of volunteer collectively, right? Like all the stuff that you've already done and everyone's already done, it's probably well over that already. But to me, it's a no-brainer. Like this is kind of our mission too, to help people in our community and connect them with arts. So I think it makes perfect sense to me.
Amanda, are you getting any of the materials donated?
So we are reaching out to possible organizations like Art Supplies and and Joanne Fabrics and things like that for the different materials list to see if we can, because if we spend less money, we can make more kits. And ultimately our goal is to reach as many kids as possible with this opportunity. So yeah, so we are pursuing trying to get some of those materials donated in order for that to happen. We did have some support with materials being donated for the live events last year. So we're reaching out to them as well to see if they would be interested in donating toward a virtual event and these art kits specifically. Because what we'll do is we'll provide a materials list on our website and with all of the marketing materials so that families that do have the opportunity to do so can go out and purchase everything they need to participate with us.
Well, we definitely have a quorum, so if anyone would like to make a motion to grant Amanda's organization 2510? Is that what I said?
Yeah, 2150.
2150. Man, I'm got my numbers back. 2,150.
Oh no, 2510. Oh my God, you're right.
2510. I was right.
My numbers.
Okay, 2510. Does anyone want to make a motion, and then we can have discussion as part of the motion process?
I just want to ask for a point of clarification. Are we proposing to take directly from our funds, or is this in support of a formal neighborhood grant?
We are completing our formal neighborhood grant to submit. We just found out all of our partners are on board and everything we were dreaming is able to move forward. So that's why this is kind of a last minute addition.
Cool. Either way would be fine. I just wanted to make sure that was.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yes, we'll be going through the city.
Great call. So does anyone want to make the motion?
Jonathan, you motioned last time. I'll take this one.
Okay. I'll second it this time.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve at the amount requested.
We have a second from Jonathan. What discussion do we have? He seconded it. Well, hearing none, let's call a vote. All in favor? Give me a thumbs up on your camera. Any opposed? Motion passes. You have your money. Please do fantastic work. As you
Wonderful.
know.
Thank you so much. We will definitely have some wonderful pictures to share with you guys after this, I'm sure. And
we would love to see them. I know Quinn has one more announcement. Any others?
Really quick, it's late. Yeah.
Well, you're up.
All right, I have one quick one. So if any of you live on Main or walk on Main or drive on Main Avenue between Farmington and Allen, you know it's a highway. People speed like crazy down it. It's the one that parallels Watson. And it looks like the city, we just received the mail, looks like the city's doing an initial investigation into some traffic calming measures. It passed the kind of initial criteria for being eligible. So the next step is, what do they call them?
Signature gathering.
Yeah, petition cards that they pass out. So again, and it's for residents who live on or kind of near Main. If you do, check your mail. It came in last few days. If you have family or friends that live on Main, tell them to check their mail. This is notoriously kind of a difficult process to get passed through because it requires 51% to vote, essentially.
Oh, requires 66%.
No, not according to this. It's
well,
51.
that part requires 51.
Yeah, for the petition card.
For the petition card.
And then there's steps after that. So again, if you don't live on Main, but you know people who do, just one example, Beaverton Lodge is right off Main. So we have lots of older folks walking on Main. It's a thoroughfare for high school students driving down. So whatever we can do to introduce some kind of traffic calming on Main, lots of folks. Yep.
I just have a quick question because we're on Erickson and we get very much the same thing, especially again when high school is in session, since we're right on would there be any possibility, since we've got Schiffler Park and a lot of pedestrian traffic crossing right there. That is the only marked crosswalk on Erickson, is that one at 10th across from Schiffler. I don't know if there was any discussion about kind of approaching maybe that calming as a regional project, or because of course I'm concerned that any traffic that is calmed on Main is just going to shift to Angel or Erickson, and I'm just wondering if it makes sense to approach it as an entire thing. And I know you've done a lot of the groundwork for this, so this is either information for me to then go to a traffic commission and start the same process if necessary, or or kind of what stage it's at for that.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot other than like the reason this actually happened in the first place was because residents were requesting the police van and just sending in notices to, and we can throw in the URL, but to basically the place where you can complain about things like speeding, and that's how they originally identified the first step in actually deciding whether Maine was in fact eligible for some further investigation. So I'm assuming that happens quite a bit on Erickson already, but
yeah,
that's one step I know of. Anyone else know?
Yeah, Tom, if I were you, I would contact Jabra Koshka at the city. He's the traffic engineer.
Yeah, I've been in contact with him for a couple of different
he
things, so.
he will let you know the process for so what Quinn alluded to, the kind of the pre-work is there's a request that happens for traffic calming, and then they put up radar units on, and this average speed has to be a certain amount over the limit for you to move to the next phase.
Yeah, I know that BPD has had the radar van out regularly before, and I know, I'm just echoing Lindsay, I've called in a couple of incidents of street racing as well on ours. So it's it's a regional thing, and I know that you guys you started the traffic. I recall, your travails about right. So I appreciate you bringing that your experiences to help the rest of us, the rest of the community here. So, but we'll keep an eye out for I don't think that they've contacted you. If mailers have already gone out, we haven't gotten any. I don't think we're close enough being over.
We got ours today.
So, mailers just came out, and it's already due the 16th of October.
Oh, wow.
So they're not giving people a lot of time. But
one clarification for the minutes, Quinn. What is the they're seeking signatures and for what specifically?
It's they're seeking people to fill out what they're calling petition cards for traffic calming measures on Main Avenue between Farmington and Allen.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other announcements before we adjourn? Awesome. You guys, sorry, we're 7 minutes over time, but it was a really good and helpful discussion. Thank you all for being here. We will see you early next month where Tom will
My apologies for jamming the agenda full of very interesting things. Didn't mean for it to.
Tom.
Actually, it's my fault. The agenda had got jammed
No,
full.
not at all. Not at all.
Tom, I'm wondering if you do actually have a newborn, because it looks like you've actually slept a little bit.
There
we go. All right,
Yeah,
perfect. Oh my gosh. All right, that's awesome.
So we've been very fortunate as to my wife and I are trying to be as considerate of each other as possible. So I think she may be asleep right now, and then I get to sleep in the morning, and then we share the duties. She takes care of all the things going in, and I take care of everything that comes out. So that's the way that we've kind of apportioned labors here. So.
And thank you to Lindsay for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really awesome. We love it when community members show up.
Please come again.
Please come again. So we'll see you guys next month.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.